Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, The Questing Mom, where we do tea time book reviews, make treats for our tea time. We do the occasional tea and coffee review, and today we are going to work on this week's tea time treat. We are going to be making a cloud bread keto Danish. I'm actually really excited to give this a try. It sounded really good, and I've made cloud bread before. I've had mild success with it. I always seem to have a slight issue with the egg whites. I don't know if I just don't, whip them long enough, if they're just not firm enough. But we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna give this a try. I am doing a few alterations to the original recipe. As per usual, I'll link the usual recipe down below if you want to try it out yourself. We are going to do a few alterations just because there are a few things that I just don't readily keep on hand, and I want to try to make it kind of accessible to how anybody would make it, just going to the grocery store to buy ingredients. So we're going to give that a shot. We'll see how the alterations work. But first, let's go ahead and let's get this hair up. Okay, now that our hair is up and out of our way, let's go ahead and let's get right into the recipe and start baking.
For this recipe, you will need 4 eggs that obviously we are going to separate the egg whites from the egg yolks for the dough. Then you're going to need cream cheese. You need an 8-ounce block for the filling plus this 3-ounce block for the dough itself. Then we're going to use coconut flour. This is an optional ingredient, but I figured why not? Then we're going to need vanilla extract, which I am actually running out of at the moment, so I'm going to need to get more. And then we need granular sweetener. I love this pure stevia. It's my favorite brand, honestly. Then we're going to need cream of tartar. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to preheat the oven to 325 degrees. We want to go ahead and get that going. So we're going to go ahead and get that 8-ounce block of cream cheese, and we are going to add in stevia and vanilla extract. The recipe actually calls for a vanilla stevia drop. It's like a liquid drop where they're both combined. I do not have that, so I went ahead and just kind of did the substitute that they have on their site, and then we're just going to mix all of that together until we get all of the lumps out of it and get a nice smooth mixture. So once we get that smooth mixture together, we're going to go ahead and we are going to set that aside until we're ready for it. And then, of course, we are going to separate our egg whites from our egg yolks. Now, there are easier ways to do this. This, for me, is just convenient. And as you can see, every now and then I tend to break the yolk. But like I said, I have heard of easier ways of doing it where if you can get it where the yolk doesn't break beforehand, you can go ahead and use like a slotted spoon, or you can always use your hands. I just prefer to use the eggshells. So now that we have those separated, we are going to go ahead and do our egg yolk mixture first. Now this recipe does call for you to have unflavored whey protein to put in this that I did not have. So I read some of the comments and they said that you don't necessarily have to have it. So I went ahead and I just bypassed that part and I did the cream cheese, of course, vanilla extract and sugar since I don't have those drops, and then I did the coconut flour, which is optional in the recipe. So I basically just combined all of that and mixed it until it was nice and smooth, and once again we had no lumps or bumps or anything in this mixture. Then we're going to go ahead and take our egg whites plus a little bit of the egg yolk that I couldn't get out, add our cream of tartar, and we are going to whisk away until we form nice peaks with this. Now, my recommendation for this is to definitely, if you have a hand mixer, put it in the hand mixer and let it just kind of go quite honestly, that would be a lot easier. You could get all of the other parts of this ready while this is in the stand mixer, just whisking away. It does take quite a while to get those peaks nice and stiff. You can see a couple of times where I am kind of checking it to see if we have stiff peaks yet. And then when I realize we don't, I go ahead and I just go back down and I go back to whisking it. Now, I do feel like there is a very delicate balance with egg whites between having it over whisked and then having it not whisked enough. And I feel like once you figure that out, it definitely makes things a lot easier. But like I said, there's definitely a delicate balance between the two. So once I feel like we pretty much have that ready to go, we're going to go ahead and we are going to take our egg mixture and we're going to put that in. Now the recipe says for you to add that to the egg whites and gently fold and combine it. Now this is about the time, I usually don't do it this way, but this is about the time that I start realizing something might not be right. I'm not sure if I over whisked my egg whites or if it was adding the egg yolks in versus adding the egg whites into the egg yolks. But I try to be as delicate as possible when it comes to putting this mixture together at this point, and I'm just like, something just seems a little off. Like it just doesn't seem right. I knew it was way too liquidy. So we're going to move that out of the way and we're going to go ahead and take a parchment lined baking sheet and we are going to ladle that mixture onto that baking sheet. Now, this is when I definitely realized something was wrong because this should not be as liquidy and should not be kind of billowing out the way it is on this baking sheet. I know for a fact that this is supposed to be little mounds. So that mixture that we made earlier for the filling, we're going to go ahead and put it in a Ziploc bag and cut the corner off. The recipe says this is the best way to get that kind of in the middle of your pastry. Quite honestly, I completely agree. This made my life so much easier doing this. So you can see I put a little bit in the middle of these and I ended up getting about 10 of these out of this recipe. The recipe says that you should get 12. Sadly, I only got 10, but that could also be because of how badly my mixture was. So I go ahead and I get some of the ones off camera on my second baking sheet and I pretty much go back and forth and I make sure to use all of this filling. So once we're happy with that, we're going to go ahead and pop it in the oven. This particular sheet I did for 15 minutes because I noticed 30 minutes was way too long and it burnt my other batch. So I did only 15 minutes on this batch, hoping to not burn it. The edges still got crispy and it still looked undercooked to me. So I ended up actually putting it back in the oven for another 5 minutes. And when it came out after that, it definitely started looking better, but it's definitely not the greatest. So this is how that burnt batch looks. Like I said, this one was a 30-minute one, so it did not turn out that great.
Okay, so I have my cloud bread keto Danishes. As you can see from the footage, we had a little bit of issue with our cloud bread portion. I definitely don't think it's supposed to be running like that. I already have the cloud bread is kind of breaking apart on me. I did end up putting it back into the oven for another 6 minutes versus the original 15 that I did to try to hopefully get it to firm up more because it just didn't seem to be cooked all the way through. The 30 minutes, as you could see, definitely was not, like, it was way too long. So we're going to go ahead. Like I said, it kind of broke on me, but it's not really holding its shape very well. It looks good. It smells good. So let's go ahead and I'm going to just break this in half so I can get all the goodness and let's give it a shot. That is really good. So I can definitely taste the fact that I swapped out the stevia drops for actual granular sugar, because it doesn't seem like the granular sugar really broke down much. I don't know if it's catching it on camera. Let's see if this piece has a little bit better. I'm not sure if it's catching it on camera, but the piece seems to be glimmering a little bit, kind of like the sugar didn't break down very well. Um, while these were cooling down, I was thinking about kind of one of the mistakes could have been the fact that I used granular sugar. It may have been a lot better and a lot easier to do maybe a powdered sugar. That way it wasn't so heavy. I thought maybe that was the reason why everything was breaking down so easily, but it still tastes good. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It still tastes really good. So I think this is going to be a recipe where I will revisit it. I know it obviously was kind of a failure, but I want to be honest when I test recipes out. I don't want to just not show you a recipe because I fail on it. Like, let's be honest, we're all human. We're going to fail, and not every recipe is going to turn out perfect. And this is obviously one of those recipes that did not turn out perfect at all. So, I think this is one that even though it did kind of turn out to be a fail, it still tastes really good. So it's definitely one that I would like to revisit in the future. And this time I'll get the proper ingredients. I'll probably just have to order them online to get them. And we'll just give them a shot with the proper ingredients. So if you want to give this recipe a try, I will have it linked down below. Let me know how it works for you. Let me know if you tried the substitutes, or maybe if you tried doing powdered sugar instead of granular sugar. I'm thinking that might be the better bet, is to try powdered sugar if you don't want to get the drops. We'll see. Definitely going to revisit this recipe though. I hope you enjoyed it. Give this video a thumbs up if you did. Hit that subscribe button while you're down there. Also, let me know what keto baking recipe you'd like for me to try next, or if there's a keto kind of biscuit, savory biscuit you want me to try to make for our tea time. Leave me suggestions down below. Let me know your thoughts. Again, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you all later this week with our book review.